Welcome time travelers and welcome new time travelers. As always, if you're new to this channel and enjoy learning about history one event at a time, then don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. In yesterday's video, I mentioned gerrymandering. If you haven't seen yesterday's video, go ahead and pause this video and go back and watch yesterday's video. So here's what I found about gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is the manipulation of electoral consistency's boundaries so as to favor one party or class. For example, gerrymandering protects the party lines and keeps bad incumbents in power. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Today we're going to start out with the legendary Cleopatra VII, the philosopher, who was aided by her Roman lover, Julius Caesar, and was reinstated as co-ruler of Egypt with her brother Ptolemy the 14th on this day in 47 BCE, following a civil war with her brother Ptolemy the 13th. So I'm guessing she had two brothers? Anyway, in 1351, as part of the struggle between Charles and Blaise, who was supported by the King of France, and John of Montfort, who was backed by the King of England, over succession of the Duchy of Brittany. Their knights waged the Battle of the 30 near Plomery, or Plommel. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. The next event will be in 1814 at the Battle of Horseshoe Bend, which is now Topeka, Alabama, and the Creek War, where Andrew Jackson and his 3,000 troops defeated the Creek Indians, slaughtering more than 800 warriors and imprisoning 500 women and children. In 1825, upon the death of James I, Charles I ascended the throne of Great Britain and Ireland. In 1886, when German-American architect Ludwig Miles von der Rohe, whose rectilinear forms crafted an elegant simplicity optimized the international style of architect, was born. We're now going to make a stop in 1915 when American domestic Mary Malone, better known as Typhoid Mary, was placed under quarantine in North Brother Island, New York City, that lasted until her death in 1938. A typhoid carrier, she was allegedly responsible for multiple outbreaks of typhoid fever. In 1927, brought us Miroslav Rostropovich, one of the best-known cellists of the 20th century and music director of the National Symphony Orchestra in Washington, D.C. from 1977 to 1994, was born in Azerbaijan. On this day in 1950, Attorney General J. Howard McGarth and FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover refused to turn over to the Senate any part of the FBI files on State Department personnel accused of disloyalty. better known as treason. In 1958, when Nikita Khrushchev replaced Nikita Bogdan as Premier of the Soviet Union. In 1963, American director and screenwriter Quentin Tarantino, whose films included Reservoir Dogs, that premiered in 1992, and Pulp Fiction premiered in 1994, are noted for their stylized violence, razor-sharp dialogue, and fascination with film and pop culture was born. The following year, in 1964, South Central Alaska was struck by a 9.2 magnitude earthquake. That was the strongest earthquake ever registered in the United States. We are now going to make a stop in 1975, when construction began on the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline, spanning 800 miles or 1,300 kilometers. The pipeline cost $8 billion and was completed in 1977. 2 years later, in 1977, two airplanes, a Pan Am 747 and a KLM 747, collided on a runway in the Caraway Island, killing 582. In 1995, some 3,000 Canadian railroad workers returned to work after Parliament forced an end to a national crippling strike that had begun on March 18th. Some of the workers had been locked out by management after their co-workers went on strike because no settlement could be reached on such central concerns as wages and job security. During the 9-day shutdown, Canadian industries that could not use the railways had to ship their products, lost billions of dollars in revenues. The return to work order stipulated that federal appointment mediator would impose a contract on both sides if they were unable to resolve their differences within 70 days. 1998 is when the drug Viagra from the pharmaceutical company Pfizer was approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for use in treating erectile dysfunction. We move on to 2002, when American comedian Milton Berle, who was a popular entertainer of the early days of television in the United States, came to be known as Mr. Television, passed away at the age of 93. And finally, in 2020, is when North Macedonia became the 30th country to join NATO. And with that, we return to 2024 and our current history. Let's see what this year has in store for us. Until next time.